All right, I guess to tie my presentation to the last one, I guess I'm a sustainability geek, if you will. It's been great to sit in on these presentations. I truly enjoy just coming to these sorts of events, and I take so much back, especially with the diversity of this group. It's wonderful. So, My Sustainable Canada, why? What's this organization about, and how did I become associated with it? Well, our tagline is, make the connection between your purchase and our planet. And that sort of connection that we seem to be missing oftentimes in terms of where we put our money, who we're voting with our dollar with, so to speak, in the marketplace. So how I became associated with this organization, grad of UW, did the environmental studies degree with economics, winded up working in the field of what was termed sustainable production. So helping companies become more socially responsible, designing their products and services in a sustainable way, less carbon footprint, less toxics, et cetera, et cetera. Great area, very solutions-based. So really looking at how we can make some tangible solutions on the production side of things. Over the course of time and working in that field, though, more and more, especially with smaller, medium-sized companies, they would often say, you know, we want to take that extra step along the sustainability curve, but our customers aren't asking for it. Our citizens aren't asking for it. So I was always faced with this question of, you know what, there's two wheels to the economy here, one being the production side of things, but then also the other side being the consumption wheel, if you will, and how all of us as citizens can become more mindful consumers. So actually really tapping into the stuff that's in our lives and how it's being made and making better choices with our dollar. So today's presentation, I'm going to focus on 3 pilot projects. They're mainly, or the common thread between them, I guess you would say, is behavior change and trying to make ourselves more connected with the choices that we're making. So we'll start off with the intro slide here, the 3 pilot projects. Some of them I picked up because I noticed on the agenda there was quite a bit of interest in transportation. So the first 2 are transportation related. One based in a working model on behavior change at the workplace. The second one being a behavior change model at school. So actually fostering citizenship amongst youth. And then the third being at home. And this project in particular is particularly close to my heart in terms of the stuff that's in our lives and how do we go about making some changes towards being more sustainable on that front. So first I'll speak on the vehicle monitoring technology project. So being in Waterloo, it's great operating here because we have such a diverse base of expertise to draw upon. And as a newly started NGO, what we found as an effective strategy is to partner with academics and get things going, because our expertise is more on the environmental side of things, but we don't necessarily have the measurement piece nailed down. So this project involves a team at the University of Waterloo looking at driver behavior in a workplace setting. Now when you think of this, think of it as workplaces that manage fleet, so light, medium-duty vehicles being driven around various places, delivering goods and services, etc. What sort of behavior changes can occur here in terms of a fuel consumption standpoint? So the vehicle monitoring technology study, essentially what it does is it brings the connection back between driving and the impact, if you will. What's involved is it's a chip that is easily installed in these vehicles, and it tracks driver behavior, so how the vehicle is being driven. And we're using that tool as a way to sort of establish a baseline. Let's just see how this fleet's being driven and what sort of opportunities there are to make some changes. We're pairing this up with eco driver training and then putting the chips back in to evaluate whether there's been an effective change in behavior. Next slide, please. So there's a baseline period that we've already gone through. And we're now emerging on the point of the eco-driver training piece. What's fascinating about the baseline data phase was just the power of information that came out of that whole process in terms of sitting down with the drivers and saying, you know, from a high-level perspective, here's how these vehicles are being driven, and you can't dispute the data. And how can we make improvements and actually make it something that's an engaging process that they want to get involved in and make some effective change. So we've got this great baseline data to work with now, and now we're looking at behavioral change components, one of the main pieces being the training, and then subsequent to that going back in and evaluating what sort of impacts were made. So next slide. So from a workplace standpoint, this technology, if you will, is sort of a way to catalyze a behavior change. And it's been really effective from an information point of view in terms of just opening drivers' eyes on what sort of impact their driving has on society and also on the environment, and also on the business bottom line. So we were really surprised. It really ties in really nicely with operational efficiency for a workplace in terms of getting a handle on how vehicles are being driven, what sort of efficiencies can be made with trips, etc. Safety was another big one that came up. This device actually is able to gauge hard accelerations and hard braking and whatnot. So from an employment standpoint, that's a key level of interest. And then, of course, the environmental performance piece, which we're sometimes struggling to try and quantify. With this technology, it really makes it easy in terms of taking how much fuel is consumed and converting that into CO2 emissions, as well as these behaviors in terms of idling and trying to get that reduced. So overall, it really adds value in the workplace in terms of documenting, setting some targets, and then moving forward from there. One of the things I wanted to hit upon here, I purposely didn't mention what businesses were involved because I think this pilot project is very replicable across communities and across employers. So if you think of the place of employment that you might work at, if there is a fleet involved, this might be a research project that you could tap into. And like I mentioned, partnering with the university and the expertise there is very valuable. It also attracts a lot of other interest and funding as well. So it's a great pilot project that I see can be replicated across many different areas.